Welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining. For those that have been here before, I'm glad that you've come back for another great sales huddle that we've got for you today. And if it's your first time, thank you very much. I think the idea of the KinFitz Co sales huddle is really to develop a community and for the community to really help with any problems, challenges, objections that we're facing in today's world as a salesperson. I think, especially this year, sales is evolving and there are challenges that we're facing on a day-to-day basis in any industry, in any area of the sales life. And I think to get people from all different industries, all different designations and experience to come together and have some great guest speakers is something that I think is really helping people. And we've had some great feedback over the last few weeks. And I think we're really excited about having Maha on today and the value that she can definitely bring to the community. So just to give you an idea of our intention today, so we want to understand how decision makers can be sold to in today's world. And I think I'm hearing a lot on LinkedIn, I'm hearing a lot from conversations that we're having in decision makers and losing deals because we're not able to get to a decision maker early enough, or we're not able to even speak to a decision maker, is something that seems to be more apparent. And I think the reality is, if we're still in a sales role, our objective hasn't changed. Our job is to still generate revenue for our company. So yes, it might be harder, but the reality is we still need to get to decision makers to progress to a sale. And if you haven't got to a decision maker, I'm pretty sure that someone else selling the same product has. So that objective still hasn't changed. And this is why we've really got excited about bringing Maha in with her experience as an MD, and also hopefully she'll talk about her background in sales. Just to give you an idea of how we approached Maha. So I didn't know Maha before our sales huddle last week with Matt. So if anyone was on that sales huddle, Matt had discussed about the power of the story brand. And one of the things that that really stuck with me was aiming to be current with your introduction. So if you wanted to speak to someone, if you wanted to approach someone about your product or your company, or to be introduced, try and be current. And it was just perfect in the way that I got to meet and to talk to Maha last week. So Maha, if you look on your left, put on a LinkedIn post about webinars and the fact that people are now producing webinars more than ever, and there's a lot of content coming on, and then it's being redirected at some part of the webinar to a sell, which I think for myself and my co-founder Ben, we've understood within the community that we've never really wanted to sell. We just want to try and help. So Maha put that post on, and then instantly I thought, yeah, I definitely want to use Maha to help and develop the community. So I just put in a LinkedIn post that, you know, we agree with what you're trying to do, and we would love to get your insight as an MD who probably is facing challenges like this more than ever because of the current situation and the need for people to get to you as an MD to sell. So I just want to introduce Maha as well. So Maha is the MD at Great Place to Work, which what they do is help organizations across the world identify and build high performance cultures. She's got 15 years experience in HR and talent management, working in companies such as Aon Hewitt as a consultant, and working with HR line managers and as a HR line manager in Dubai. And your experience is in the employee experience and happiness at work. So it's great to have you on, Maha, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
One thing that I don't know if some of the guys heard as we were talking before we started is that you just had a sales meeting. So yes. I would love to hear what your sales meeting was about, and if there was any context to what we're going to talk about today.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be part of this huddle. I was introduced to this huddle concept by you last week, and I loved it because it's the time now more than ever that we need to be connected. We need to be talking to each other. We need to get creative and innovative on how to tackle the economy and the sphere of sales. because I know more than anyone else how struggling you may be now and how challenging sales must be at this moment, because priorities have shifted so rapidly in the last 60 days. And as you said, business leaders and decision makers have some key elements that they're looking at other than meeting salespeople and attending to sales calls. So as I was just saying to you, I had a sales meeting earlier this morning, and despite the fact that sales is sales, and we all know that the techniques are up to a certain extent the same, however, the conversation and how you approach your sales process is completely different now.
Okay.
Conversation must be completely different, and your homework must be done as well differently. I don't want to jump into that, but other than being an MD of an organization, receiving many sales calls from people trying to sell products to us or to my clients, which I try to advise as well, I'm part of the sales team as well in my company, and we run daily and weekly meetings with existing clients or future clients. So I'm in the same boat, and I know exactly the kind of struggles or challenges you may be facing at the moment.
Okay, great. Just before I ask the first question, guys, we usually have an exercise. The exercise today, I just really want to dive into Maha's experience. So just in the Q&A section, as and when you go, just add questions, and then we'll stop at a couple of points. So utilize the experience that Maha has, because she's a salesperson and MD and can really offer some good insight.
Utilize.
So just going back to your point, so you are selling as a member of your company. So selling today is different to a month, 2 months, 3 months ago. So if you're selling for your company, what have you noticed to be different?
What did I notice? So I'll speak about the service that we provide. So Great Place to Work is a consulting firm that helps organizations become great workplaces.
Yeah.
And the topic is still relevant now, because all business leaders are very concerned about their employee well-being and safety and happiness. However, so many organizations are doing some restructuring exercises. So as we are aware, many people have lost their jobs. Many people have had major salary cuts. So for me to go in with my smiley face and fancy suit on and say, oh, I want to help you to become a great workplace and give you the certification of Great Place to Work, that's not something that might be relevant at the moment. So I had to tweak the conversation from here is what I can offer you to let me know what can I do to help you. So we all know as salespeople, one key skill to manage a sales conversation is to listen. And as important as it is, as much as we hear about it in training courses, we fail sometimes to actually implement it. And if one key lesson I've learned during this period is conversating with clients is the skill we have to really implement and really work hard on. So change the sales conversation from I'm here to present to you something to I'm here to listen. How can my organization, my products or services support you at this time? They may not trust you at the first meeting or second meeting, but you have to earn that trust by genuinely attending to the conversation you had. And that's why I had that, just going back quickly to that LinkedIn post, because since this whole crisis, if I may call it, has emerged, I've been taking parts of many webinars, and I've been investing time to listen. And unfortunately, in every webinar, I was promised knowledge. Because I was curious, because we all have no clue how to deal with it. No one ever prepared us. There's no toolkit on how to deal with such circumstances, especially here in the UAE. So I was eager to learn. I was eager to go and explore products. But whenever I was on a webinar and I was faced with salespeople trying to sell, not even listening to what may be going through, I just hung up the phone. I was like, oh, this is just another waste of half an hour of my time. So as you said, you have to be current, you have to be relevant, and just listen to what people need at this moment, what businesses need.
I think that if we look at sales in two parts, right? So you have the new business side and you have the account management and retention side. So I think that there is a concern that companies now are playing safe and they're staying with the new business and account management side and the retention side of the sales process. So would you be comfortable now today being sold to a new product or a new client? And if so, how should someone who's focuses only on new business, how should they sell to you?
I'll go back again. The intention in our company now is to focus more on existing clients while building a very solid pipeline for the future, because this is the time where you will really need to work on stocking up on leads, not for now, for the future. And try to invest more time as well in maintaining or working on your account management or your existing clients. But if today I'm a business, a decision maker, a leader, and I want to consider a new product, only if that product is going to offer me something that will address my current challenges, I have to say, this is exactly what I need now. So you have to position that product in a way that attends to that business leader's needs at this time. How do you do that? Do your proper research on that business. Have a conversation first, understand their needs, and only then after come with that specific solution that is easy to understand, not very costly at this moment, to that business leader. That's the only way I'm going to consider a new product, because as I said, there's a big room for innovation. So if my existing product or account is not something which is working now for me because it's not agile enough, I'm going to consider something which is more agile and something which attends to the current need of the business.
Yeah. Okay. And I just want to be sort of quite close. You are, as an MD, you're open to listening to new products and you're open into changing providers if there's value that can be added.
Yes.
Because I think it's safe to now say, because of the times, they don't want to move. But I think that the conversation should change to, I can still offer that product. I just need to ask maybe better questions and truly dig to see, can I actually add value? Can I save cost or save time? And exactly. I think that's where people can have that comfort of not probing enough because they feel it's not sensitive enough in the current climate.
And business leaders are cost sensitive now. So if you do your research and you find out the prices of your competitors and you just review your prices in a way you come in as very competitive now, of course you're gonna get the attention of business leaders because everyone wants to save. So if you have that product, same features, but you work on your pricing structure or the flexibility of payment terms, maybe the same price, but the payment terms are more flexible, I'm going to move with a provider that gives me more flexibility. And this is what we did with our clients. We said, okay, we're aware you're all challenged financially. Sign now, but pay us later when things are better. So try, as I said, get as agile as you can so people think you're really concerned. You're not just a salesperson who's just thinking about how can I close my target, which you should, but just play it smart.
Yeah, definitely. I think playing it smart I think there's, common stats that you hear and read about getting through to a decision maker to have that in-depth conversation. And it usually takes seven or eight times. So if people are trying to talk to you on conversation one with the intention and objective to sell something to you, I think you're going to be, easily mistaken, or you're not going to get the outcome that you need. And it is now about having that approach of you're selling the conversation rather than actually selling the product. Exactly.
Like just one example, quick example here. I've met so many CEOs and key business leaders in my last 7 years with Great Place to Work. And my intention was almost all the time going into that fancy boardroom to sell. But then I felt that that business leader is just want to sit down and talk about business or talk about people. So I immediately shift the conversation to sit down and say, okay, so how are things going? And that happened when there was nothing happening in the economy. It was just perfect timing. So imagine what leaders want to speak about now. They just want to sit down and ask questions. So what do you think we can do with this? So I have just moved the first conversation to listening and conversating with the client.
Definitely. And I suppose the consultative approach now is, it has to be more apparent than ever. And if you can't consult it, what a great time to learn in the current age that we're in.
Exactly. And when you listen, just one quick note, because I see that salespeople coming in and they have list of prepared questions or a questionnaire in mind or in hand, and then they just ask the question, they'll go like, all right, and then they move on. Active listening. So comment, so don't just do it because you're told or you're trained to do it, because leaders are not stupid. They can tell if you're just doing something to tick the box or something that you're actually doing it because you want to do it and you believe in it.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, like preparing for a meeting and having a list of questions is an absolute, it's a necessity to have in your toolkit. But it's the flow. It's listening to your answer and then looping in the next question to be engaging, not just ticking the box of questions and then completing the list. It doesn't flow.
Yeah, and they work so hard on their facial expressions to sound like they're listening. And then they ask you this question about something which you just said, and then you lose credibility, you lose trust, and khalas, you lose that sales call forever.
I think, the power of listening. I think one of the key tools that I've learned over 10 years of sales is what I call summarizing. So I've asked you a lot of questions. I've got a lot of information. I think I can help. But before I sell to you, I just clarify everything that you say. And it's like, for me, it's like a trophy, because I know that I can help you because I've listened.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Moving on to the next question. So how can people get your attention? Like, through what types of communication, email, LinkedIn? How do people get your attention? As you're a busy woman, you're an MD, you've got a lot of priorities. So how can a salesperson grasp your attention?
That's a very interesting question and a tough task, I must say, for salespeople. I personally is not a big fan of emails. So if I receive a very long email that has linked products and all the company information, people don't read. And people generally, whether in like senior or any other position, our span of attention is much shorter now due to what we're living in. So a person would get my attention if I witness or see them as thought leaders or subject matter experts. What do I mean by that? So now it's the social media era, and one of the key social media platforms that I use and has worked so well for me, whether to be sold or sell, is LinkedIn. Yeah. And before you go on LinkedIn and start sharing links and videos and stuff to just be there, just make sure you are very picky on what you share and try to position yourself and your personal brand as a subject matter expert. Because over time, I will start noticing that this person actually knows about what he's talking. Let's say insurance brokers or people in the insurance industry or cloud server. If you post videos or things or articles that business leader will click on and learn something, then I'm going to pay attention to that person who actually posted that thing, because it means he read it, he knows it's of value, and that's why he shared it. So definitely LinkedIn at the time being, because people have more time to get on LinkedIn. Leaders are not busy in the boardrooms. They're not busy traveling. So position yourself as a subject matter expert. Cold calling, again, I'm not a very big fan of cold calling unless it's you're connected by someone within the organization and there's a serious interest. But don't just pick up the phone and say, I want to talk to you about a certain product or service. So definitely now LinkedIn plays a key role in getting the attention of a business leader or decision maker.
And how is it important to go from a bottom-up approach? So you said there that you don't like cold outreach, but you're happy to take a referral from someone in your company. How often does that happen, and how do you feel that should be processed within your business?
Yeah, I know we as salespeople, and I know salespeople would love to like reach directly to the decision maker, or as we call them, the decision makers. But sometimes these decision makers are only the people who sign the paper. So in many of the cases, they're not personally involved in the decision. So what you need to do, you need to identify the person who is trusted by that decision maker. I'll give you an example. For many things in my office, as a managing director today, I have I have one of my colleagues who I trust so well. So whenever we're trying to source a service or a product, I would just ask her to evaluate it and give me her review. And oftentimes, I just trust her judgment, which she earned over the years. So try to reach again to the internal subject matter expert, to the person who speaks that product value. Because a CEO or a CFO may not know the technicality or all the knowledge about the product. So find that technical person inside the organization that your product or your service will make so much to, and that person will internally sell it to the business leader or the decision maker. So if you can get all the way through to the decision maker, make sure you get through to the person whose the product or service will address their needs in the first place.
Yeah.
So like now with more people, I'll just give a very quick example. More people are working from home. So cloud services and leaders want to invest in that. But honestly, I don't know much about it. But I would refer to my IT manager or my software engineer. So these are the actual decision makers today. If you convince them, it's much easier to get the signature of the boss or the person who signs the final contract.
Great stuff. There's always been a case where at times where deals slip and you feel you're about to lose a deal, or maybe you're dealing with like an IT manager or someone in your IT department, that they'll bypass them and go to you. And they'll say, you know, I've been working with your IT manager, we've got on really well, but I wanted to discuss it directly with you. Now, have you ever signed a contract when that's happened, or what do you feel about that kind of process where someone goes above someone to get to you?
See, whatever we're discussing today or talking today, there's nothing which is a law or a standard that should apply to all. There's always variation based on the matter itself, the product, the service, the industry, and the people. And in this country, the nationality of that person plays a key role as well. So you have to take all these elements into consideration. There are some people of certain backgrounds would take that and insult, like, why would you skip my IT manager and come to me? I would not highly advise or recommend doing so, because it may, it happened actually once to us, and we skipped the engagement manager and we went straight to the chief HR officer. And then it wasn't really a pleasant answer from that person, because they said, I've assigned and trusted, because in some ways, certain people you would take it as you're not trusting my judgment of assigning or appointing that person as a person to take a decision, and then you're coming to me. I wouldn't highly recommend it unless you feel that that person, the IT manager or whoever that person is doing that intentionally. They're either not paying attention or they're just lazy to move it forward. Then you have to speed the process up. But until you're very sure, don't skip and try to jump to the decision maker. I wouldn't highly advise it.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's very sensitive, and I think use it if every other scenario you don't feel comfortable with.
Exactly.
Perfect. So we've got some questions. We'll just run through them. So one of the questions was, how can I show a client I've listened? So what tips do you have to indicate to a client that you've listened?
I love that question, because again, there's a very thin line of like, you're genuinely listening and you're not. Some people can tell, some people cannot tell. It depends on the emotional intelligence of that business leader. I love that question. What I do and what I advise my team to do, what I love also receiving from salespeople when I meet them, is after the meeting, send an email of my understanding of your needs. That statement is magic. Even if you're going to go back and prepare a proposal, start with my understanding of your needs, and just have some key bullets where you summarize the conversation that basically highlights your understanding of their business and your understanding of their current need. Do not put on that slide of understanding of your leads a copy paste from their website, because many salespeople come, my understanding of your needs, great place to work is blah, 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 and I can see they just copied and pasted the organization profile from the website. Just have a small summary, send it back to the client and confirm with him or her the understanding, because there may be something that you got wrong. You were actively listening, but you heard something wrong, so they may have to, they want to correct you. And then that shows that you were actually listening and you're very concerned to make sure that the information you've gathered is correct.
Yeah,
I love the question.
Yeah, perfect question. I think one thing as well, so my background is insurance, and if in the insurance world we got maybe one or two criteria wrong, we would spend so much time gathering quotes, coming to you, and then it'd be, Liam, this is wrong. And then you have to go back to the process all over again. And when you're dealing with third parties, you're so heavily reliant on an external source. So exactly. By me not listening, but even more so by not confirming and summarizing with you, you're losing deals because you just haven't listened and showcased that you've listened. So, you know, that's sort of 3 times that you said it. And I can't stress highly enough the power of summarizing and listening is so important.
100%.
I've got another question from Rachel. As a decision maker, how do you feel about salespeople who are consistently following up with you? And do you have any recommendations or channels to be used for efficient follow-ups?
Mm-hmm. I love the word consistently again, because there's a thin line, very thin line between being very consistent, Rachel, and being sometimes annoying. And when you hit that point as a salesperson that they start perceiving you annoying, you would lose the deal, even if your product is the best in the market. And that needs a little bit of practice and trial and error first, but here are some key guidelines. Have a scheduled follow-ups. And again, don't try to outsmart the client by saying, just in case you haven't had the chance, or I'm going to put my email on top of your inbox, whatever these terms that we sometimes use. One time a salesperson sent me an email, I believe you don't have free time. Like, don't try to judge or take assumptions based on the client disappearing on you. So back to how you can get consistent. Have a scheduled follow-up agenda. And inform your client at the beginning that I will be following up with you on these days or every 2 weeks or so forth. I prefer follow-ups by emails first. If you reach to a dead end and that the client is not responding to you or the prospect is not responding to you, you can try calling once and follow up that call with a message, because they may have not saved your number. So you think you're calling them, but they have not recognized. So just send a small SMS, say, hey, this is Maha from Great Place to Work. I'm calling 2123. Very short, very precise. And don't use WhatsApp. As much as people love to use WhatsApp in this part of the world, I, as a business leader, I'm not sure about others, but I don't like WhatsApp, because I believe WhatsApp is a very personal chatting tool. There's this option of viewing who's online or not. Like, business leaders may feel that you're invading their privacy and you're kind of like haunting them. So try to limit it to emails, calls, and SMS. And ask the client first. So again, there is no rule. This is what works with me. Ask the client in that discovery meeting at the beginning, how would you like me to follow up with you? Is there a preferred means of communication? So that person may tell you, you can call my personal assistant and leave a message, or you can message me through this platform. Whatever platform they're comfortable with, again, just listen to that. And that question at the beginning, again, will send that prospect the sign that you are not planning to be annoying. So don't plan to be annoying, and have a clear agenda with the client at first.
Another question just came in, which loops into that, is what is the ideal duration of follow-up? So how many times can I keep trying to get to the next stage with you without you being annoyed?
That's $1 million question. So Again, it depends on the product, on the industry, how the product cycle, the service cycle. I would say every 2 weeks at the beginning of the sales cycle. So you just met the client. Of course, after you confirm the understanding of the needs and the proposal is sent, you've sent the proposal, they have all the documents. Give them some time to review that and then come back with in 2 weeks. I would, for the first 2 months, follow up every 2 weeks. And then probably once every month, and then later once every quarter in the third quarter. That's not a rule. That's something that works for some clients, for some may not. But again, consider the period you're selling in. If you're selling to a government client and that person is a local or an Emirati and it's Ramadan, their working hours is much less. They don't really spend so much time working during that period, so they will not probably have the same amount of time they need to review that big proposal. Is different. Yeah. Maybe it's summer, they're on holiday, so make sure you take all these elements into consideration before following up. But just make above and beyond the frequency of the follow-up, the language you use in that follow-up is also very important.
Yeah, I was going to add as well that language is one thing, but content as well. So if we've had a great meeting and I've identified that there are multiple tools that I have to help you, I don't have to just talk about when a contract got sent out, when are you going to sign it? I can also talk about, just to let you know, we touched on this, here is the product that can help. And I can do this 2 or 3 times because it's relevant. I'm not selling to you. I'm just telling you, while you think, here's a bit more information about why this product's going to save time, money, whatever. Because it's not directly selling, but it's just further highlighting that my company can help your company, which is important.
Yeah. One thing I have to add, which worked well actually. So sometimes you don't have to also remind the client by sending emails saying, I need updates, or I'm reminding you. What we do and what I love receiving sometimes from clients, so maybe because sometimes people generally get busy and forget, they're not ignoring you. And we don't want you to lose these leads because you think they're just not interested. So if you're not sending an email following up, if your company has newsletters or videos about the product or a certain interesting article that you think that business leader would love to read, send it in an email and say, I just read this today and I thought it would be of an interest for you. When your name pops in their inbox, they would remember, say, oh, actually, I have a proposal from that person. So have different techniques to get the attention of the client. As I said, newsletter, product promos, or you have a certain promotion running at this time. Send it to the client because that may make the process faster, or simply remind that person of you again.
I think that's great. I think one thing as well is just test. Like, if something may work for you, it may not work for others. You know, so there's no harm in trying, as long as the language is okay and as long as you feel that it's attractive. It probably is, but just try. Just if you keep doing the same things, and it's not working, don't expect different results. It's about trial and error. We've got some more questions, but what we'll do is we'll press on with some final points and then we'll go back to questions. So, do you have an example of you being sold to over the last month or two and a best practice that you can discuss with the community?
I've been sold over in the last month or two. To be very honest, no.
Okay.
But we've actually managed to sell. One of my team members actually managed to sell to a client, which we thought it's not gonna ever happen in this period. So we had a meeting with this prospect before the lockdown, and we just assumed that after this whole thing emerged, we're gonna lose the lead. What that salesperson did is he kept on following up consistently and being current, as you said. And we knew that this client is from an industry which has been highly impacted, and their cash flow is really has been hit so hard. So what we did, as I said, we have offered some payment flexibility, payment term flexibility. For many clients, we tried to waive VAT, for example, now, and we said we're going to take away VAT and we'll take it on your behalf. So I've been personally sold no, but I've attended more sales calls from people because now we suddenly on our agenda, we need all these new products. Our people are working from home. We need these cloud services. So we've contacted many organizations. We need to update the website. We've contacted many web design managers to have an update on the website. So just try to tweak your sales process, tweak your product to be relevant to the decision maker now. One of the other examples, again, to a client, we were about to sell a workshop, a training, a face-to-face training. And then instead, we told so when we spoke to the client, he said, oh yeah, but I want everyone to be in one room, this is a training, it has to be interactive. So we quickly adjusted that setup of that training, and we said for these 15 people who were attending the training, we're just gonna send them iPads to their home. And we're gonna have everything ready for them, and they're gonna access the training through that iPad, all the manual, all the materials will be there. So the idea was appealing to the client. So you have to be very quick in attending, because between the time they raise that concern and you coming back with an updated version of the product or service, they may lose interest. So spend so much time, since you have a lot of it now, to try to see how can I update my product now or my service that I can sound more relevant and it can actually foster the decision-making process. Make sense?
Makes sense. Finally, before we get back into Q&A, if you have 3 tips to give to the community that they can walk away with, what would be your 3 tips?
One, I want to just let you know that we're all panicking and we're all thinking, oh my God, what do I do with my target? Will I be able to sell? And through that panic, a very natural human behavior would be like, we would slow down and we will start losing hope. Anyways, I'm not going to sell. We will stop reaching to more leads. So one tip I want you to all come out with today is, don't let whatever we're going through, I don't want to give it any reference, pandemic, crisis, whatever it is, to get you to lose hope or stop you or slow you down. Because it is the period now where you can stock up again, as I said, on your pipeline. So if you're not closing today, I guarantee you when this is over, and it's going to be over, you're going to have a more solid pipeline that you slowly and very consciously build at this time. So one tip, number 1, stock up on your pipeline. Don't shy out to reach to more people, to more clients, to more prospects, to more leads. If they're not going to sign now, they're going to sign later, because there will be time when everyone will start hiring again. If we go back to what happened 2008, 2009 in Dubai, so many people were fired, business stopped, but then straight after, business boomed again. So people would want to hire again, people would want products again, services again. So stock up on that pipeline. Restructure or re-engineer your sales process now. The product is the same, the techniques of the sales process are the same, but restructure and re-engineer your sales process. If you're used to take the client on a tour on your warehouse or whatever it is, have a virtual tour prepared. So go into that meeting and have everything ready to be virtually presented to the client. Make it very easy, very user-friendly, because many decision makers are not technology friendly today. So make sure you know that. And just remember that sales is basically the definition of sales is helping clients succeed. So have that in mind. How can I help my clients succeed? And I know it's easier said than done. I personally have Target. So, but if you do your best, you stock up on, as I said, your leads, you do your homework, you probably have, look at it as an opportunity. How can I innovate? Because maybe the product or the service you were selling needed that shake to be re-innovated and becoming more, and then you would discover that you're selling more because that gap or that challenge now made you discover what was missing in your product. Again, easier said than done, but one thing, one slowdown. If you're not closing now, it's going to be really harmful. It's if you're going to make you slow down and lose focus on your target and your objective. So stay focused, stay energetic, do sales yoga as they refer to it. Sit down, breathe, and understand what do you need to do next. Don't just like pick up the phone or start adding LinkedIn connections and acting or in all directions on an ad hoc basis just because you want to sell. Just have a very structured approach for your day, for your week, for your month, and things, inshallah, will materialize soon.
Yeah, I think some excellent points there. And I think, we're in a situation now, I think it's 4 weeks since we've been asked for the majority of people in there to work from home. And I think, for myself, it's been the last few days has been challenging. It's, sort of climbing up the walls. And I think in terms of sales, that can have a knock-on effect. But I really like that sales yoga that you discussed about taking a step back and thinking about the conversations that you're having and thinking about what's worked, what hasn't. And, I love that idea of the self-summary and self-awareness to be able to say, okay, can I change and tweak things now in order to get a better result? And I think that's so important, like today and for the rest of probably the year, about seeing what's different, because situations are going to change every day and month where people are going to be allowed back into the work office. People are going to be able to meet people again. And then you can see the reactions, because some businesses may fall back into their old habits, but I'd imagine a lot won't, and a lot will evolve because of what's happened this year.
Yeah. Can I just say one last thing very, very quickly?
Go for it.
Just think efficiently now, because you have so much time, but you don't have time. So one thing I really love salespeople to do is disqualify leads or prospects that you think they're gonna just waste your time.
Yeah.
And the probability of them closing up soon is not that high. So don't think numbers of lead, think quality of lead. And that's why it's very important to do your homework well and to understand that these are not just people shopping. These are people who are really interested and people who have a certain need, and they're taking it seriously. So don't shy away from disqualifying prospects and say, you know what, I'm not going to bother about that lead. Even it's a big company or a very big brand name. Just focus your attention, be very efficient in your planning process, and be very effective in the sales process itself. So plan, and once you're there in the virtual room or actual room, just work so hard on being effective to capture their attention and to leave an impact on that person.
Spot on. Great stuff. We've just got some final questions from the community. So to follow up on getting attention, what kind of conversations would you expect from salespeople given the current situation? Should it be on cost? Should it be on industry practices? What do you want to hear?
Both industry practices. So we're all interested to see what other similar companies are doing. So if I am a business leader of a certain company in a certain industry, I would love to know how my peers of the similar industry are dealing with the situation in Korea or in the States or in some other part of the world, in a way, again, that it's relevant. So if you have benchmarks, if you have case studies, if you have real stories from CEOs or from similar business leaders, I would love to hear that and read more about it. Cost as well. How can you help me manage the dilemma of cash flow and the cost that I have at the moment? Maybe some proper reports about how other organizations managed it, and some insights from like key big financial firms, predictions of the future that are relevant to my industry. If I'm in the oil and gas, what does that mean in my business? If I'm in healthcare, what does that mean in the business? So case studies, benchmarks from the market is going to be very interesting.
Great stuff. And then if you want me to follow up through a person that you've trusted in your business to introduce you as a decision maker, how can I know that you're actually interested to know more about my product or not? So if I'm talking to the IT person, but I know that they have to go to you, how can I get that level of understanding that you're interested?
Yeah, that's a very good, very good question. So sometimes I get called and I say, okay, speak to my marketing manager. He deals with this. There's two options. I'm not really interested and I'm just trying to get it away from me because I don't have the time for that. But I'm really interested, but I need the proper advice, a professional advice of the subject matter expert, who is my marketing manager. You can only know by the way the sales process moves on. So if they take it forward, they invite you for another meeting or for more information, then it means I and my marketing manager are interested. I believe that's probably the only way that you would know, like, if this person is interested or not. Is there again, how trusted are they with their follow-ups? Are they working? So she or he said, I'm going to forward this to my marketing manager. They should give you a call or email you. Did they actually call you or email you? If yes, and it means I'm interested and I'm following up.
Okay. Yeah, it's always a tricky one when you have to go through someone to get to you.
Yeah.
So I suppose there's no like playbook
Black
on that.
white.
It really is. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, finally, in terms of reaching the decision maker, if the decision maker is a director, owner, MD, would it be better to get a director from your company to speak to that person? This way you can go wide and deep in the organization to build the relationship, and your senior in your company can deal with the senior of that company. This way we can eliminate any chances of bypassing levels.
I see the point in the question. It makes sense. So sometimes when we're selling, one of my sales associates would say, I'm going to meet the CEO today of this company. Would you want to come with me? So MD meeting CEO. Or if for me personally, as a managing director, the title or the position of that person does not really have an implication on how do I think of that product or service. It's the knowledge of that person of the product or the service. Maybe at a later stage, again, this is industry specific and product specific, you may want to get your senior person involved just to add probably a little bit of credibility on this, but I don't think this is a major decision factor to get the MD, meet the MD. No, if the salesperson should be empowered enough, knowledgeable enough, trusted enough to run the whole process.
Okay, great stuff. That's it, I think. No more questions. Maha, thank you so much for your time. Thoroughly enjoyed this week's huddle, and I think the community got some great value from it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Liam, and thanks to everyone who participated, listened, and we hope we added a little bit of value. And good luck for everyone. Stay safe. And if you have any further questions, you can shoot them to Liam, and we will be happy to address them in a later stage.
Great stuff. Thank you. And before we go, guys, just again, help grow the community. I think, having experts like Maha to talk about how we can, as a community, help grow our businesses and help with revenue is something that we really want to extend out to people. And at KinFitz Co, if there's any way that we can help someone, we really want to try and do that. And we've used these sessions to really just try and help people far and wide to just understand how to sell today and get tips from each other. So like our content. If you want to add people to our community, please do so, and let's see where we can help. Thanks a lot, guys. That's the end of this week's Sales Huddle. Have a great week. I know it's April, so last few days before you hit targets and make commission. Hope everyone has a great end to the month and can bring some business in for the next few days. So have a great week, and I will see you next Monday, 12 o'clock.